and welcome to episode 7 of Under the Birch Tree. This is my podcast, which is about my knitting, and occasionally about my crochet, and will eventually be about my sewing when I finish my studies. My name is Claire. I live in the southwest of England with my 4 daughters and my husband. And you can find me on Ravelry as Under the Birch Tree and on Instagram as birchtree_knits. Please do come and follow me there. So huge welcome to all my new subscribers. I cannot believe how many subscribers I've had since our last podcast. It's just exploded. I think we're over 130 now, which is really exciting. And I'm really pleased that people are talking and they're commenting. My goal of podcasting was partly because I love talking about knitting, and partly to build a community of people to talk about knitting with. And that's thankfully starting to happen. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please keep sharing it, and a very warm welcome to anyone who's watching this podcast for the first time. I hope you like it. In the last podcast I talked about how I was feeling the pressure of doing the perfect podcast in the perfect setting and looking perfect, and that's just not me at all. And I kind of decided I just needed to let go of that and relax and be myself. I think I was being myself, but in my authentic surroundings, my natural habitat, which is messy and untidy, and so this is me. I enjoyed it so much more, and it got a better reception as well, so definitely going to take that forwards. I have wondered about starting a Ravelry group. I probably am not in a position to want to do that right now, but I think it's something that it would be maybe worth doing. I know that lots of podcasters do, but I also noticed that a lot of the Ravelry groups of podcasters are really quiet now. I don't know whether they're initially busy in the early days of their podcast running, or I'm not sure. But if you have any opinions, please feel free to share them. I'd be really grateful. So I've had a really strange 3 weeks since I last podcast. I finished my last week in the job that I was doing, which is a job that I absolutely loved. And was very sad to leave. I've had a week off, which was a very strange week, being between jobs. And then I've had my first week in my new job, which is exciting and terrifying in equal measures. But I'm really excited to be doing it, really pleased to be doing my new job. But it's felt a bit mentally overwhelming the last week. So I've allowed myself a weekend to just be still and chill out and not do anything too mentally challenging, like writing dissertations. So my plan is to spend October writing my dissertation, get a really good first draft done in October, then I'll have November to edit, and then it needs to be handed in December. So I hopefully will be able to knuckle down. So it may not be a podcast in October. Let's just see what happens. Anyway, let's move on to knitting. So I have 2 finished objects, and the first one I am wearing, and if you've been following me on Instagram you'll have seen my photos of this. So I have practiced moving the camera to a place where you can see this in its entirety, so let's try it now. Hopefully nobody gets too seasick and you can cope with the mess behind me. Here we are. Yes. So this is my Ingalls sweater, which is by Caitlin Hunter, and I am absolutely thrilled with it. I am so pleased. The colourwork's turned out really nicely. The neckline, I'm so pleased with this. I did the, hang on, let me look at my notes. The alternate cable cast on that Woolly Wormhead has on her patterns. I was a little worried about the floats behind these little eyelets here, but you can't really see them. It's not a problem. What else can I tell you about it? This is not as big as I was planning it to be. Look at this lovely seam where It's not a seam, this line where I blocked it. This was meant to be 15-inch positive ease was the size that I knit, it's the size medium. And when I did the gauge swatch, I did it with the dancing T-Rex sweater that I knit before, and the gauge was right. It's meant to be 20 stitches in 10 centimetres. But this has turned out, as you can see, not with 15 inches of positive ease, only 6 inches of positive ease actually. But I'm fine with it. I love the fit. I love the sleeves. The sleeves didn't turn out, well, I did the sleeves 2 at a time. I did them all the way, completed them, and then I put it on and I couldn't get the sleeves over my, I couldn't get my hand up my sleeve to sort of pull down the sleeve that was inside. They were really tight. So I undid them and I re-knit them with, rather than going down a needle size, I stayed on the same needle size. It's starting to be a bit of a theme for me. I'll talk about that in a bit. So that was a bit frustrating to have to redo them again, but that was fine. And I did Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off in pattern on the sleeves and the bottom of the hem. Yeah, it's a fine size. I had deliberately chosen a much larger size because I wanted it to be really baggy, but it's fine as it's turned out. So when I measured the gauge on the actual sweater, it turned out to be 24 stitches in 10 centimetres. So rather a dramatic difference, and I'm not quite sure why that was, but obviously I need to practice getting my gauge swatches a bit more accurate. I haven't actually looked at this and compared it to the dancing T-Rex sweater, but I might do that, I think. So I'm just going to pause this because I want to take this off because it's quite warm, but obviously I wanted to wear it for now. And yeah, so this is my main finished object and I am absolutely chuffed to bits with it, and I've worn it a few times in real life, in front of real people, in public. And yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. It's very warm. So it's with Drops Puna, which is 100% alpaca, and it is really warm, but it's very soft. As you can see, I've got it against my skin here and on my wrist. I've got 3/4 length sleeves under this, and it's not itchy at all. It's fine. I'm really, really pleased with it. So I'll pause the video now to take this off because it's very warm. Okay, so I've also changed the camera angle slightly so I can sit back on the sofa better. So my second finished object is not really a finished object. It was, and then it wasn't. So it is my Juniper socks by Helen Stewart. Now I did not expect to have these finished in time for this podcast, but my wrist and hand have been feeling much better. I've got a better brace that I've been using, and as long as I put it on, whenever I feel a little bit of a twinge, then I seem to be able to knit much more. So I'm really, really pleased with that, and it's getting much stronger and I'm needing it far less. So I did manage to keep going with my Juniper socks, and I did get 2 completed socks the day before yesterday. Was it Thursday? Friday, I think. I can't remember. A day at the end of last week. It's Sunday today. And I was really excited and I put them both on, and the cuff of one was the one I just finished was loads tighter than the cuff on the other one. Oh, couldn't believe it. What I'd done is on the second sock I'd followed the instructions properly, and on the first sock I had missed the instruction to go down a needle size for the cuff. Now I think I've learned that I need to never go down a needle size for the cuff, as evidenced on the cuffs of the sleeves on my Ingalls sweater. But I obviously had missed that instruction for the first sock. So my first sock, this is the first sock, is the right width for my leg. And the second sock was far too tight. And I thought and I wondered whether I could unpick it to here and then either knit a new cuff or unpick them both to here and knit them both up, or I didn't. I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I did have a go undoing it to there, but I didn't realise this. I've learned something now. You can't knitting doesn't unravel down. Only unravels from where you're knitting from. So these are top down socks, so I couldn't unravel from here. It didn't work. So then I got cross again. After first time got cross, realising they weren't going to work. Second time got cross, realising I couldn't do the cuff thing. And then I thought, well, they're not going to work as they are, so I might as well unravel them. So I unravelled the second sock, and now I think what's also annoyed me is that the second sock, or the whole sock, is about a third of a ball of yarn when I weighed them, but it's just over a third of a ball of yarn, and the yarn that I had left was just under the amount I'd need to knit a whole sock. And because the issue was that I'd knit the cuff on smaller needles, I would need slightly more yarn anyway than was held in the second sock. So I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but basically it meant that I didn't have any amount of yarn that would be enough. I'd always going to have to join new yarn halfway through the sock or part way through the sock, which was really, I found that a bit irritating. I do have another whole skein of it, but I didn't want to break into a whole skein of yarn. Yeah, so lots of frustrations with this sock, but I have got over my frustrations now, and I've just accepted I'm going to have to start the yarn halfway through. And so I started this yesterday and I'm already here, so I think it's going to be quite quick. But yeah, how irritating. So I kind of had a finished object, but I didn't. But they fit. This fits. So I'm looking forward to having those to wear eventually. I don't think it'll take long. I think if I crack on, I'll get this done in 10 days. So let's hope that works out better this time. And I have done it on, so she says to knit the main sock on, hang on. So these are the socks. These are what they look like apart from without the different coloured cuffs and toes. And she says to knit, so the whole sock's knit in 3.25mm needles. She says to knit the cuff in 2.75. I'm never doing that again. I'm never going down a needle size for the ribbing. I don't know why. I don't know why I don't need to. I don't need to go up a needle size for colour work. I found that. I just need to stick to the same needle size. So I've learned my lesson. I'll probably make the same mistake again at some point, but anyway. So that's my juniper socks, my kind of finished object. I've had to restart. So what else are we going on to now is my whips. So of course I've got a new one to show you. In fact, I've got two new ones to show you. First of all, I'm going to show you the progress on my burnt sugar shawl, because this is coming on really well and should be finished by the time I do my next podcast. I'm just going to take it off my needle, these lovely needle holders. So here we are. This is a pattern so this is Burnt Sugar by Laura Reinbach. And here we are. This is where I am with it. It's got very big now. But I am loving it. I'm really, really enjoying it. Sorry, the sun's come out. It's gone a bit bright. And you see the brocade diamond effect on the darker pink, and then on this speckled paler pink, you've got the same diamond effect carried through with eyelets. It's absolutely great. I'm really, really enjoying it. So I think I've got probably about this much more left to do of this paler colour, and then there's a small band of the dark pink, and that's it. So this will be finished in a few days, I think. So watch out on Instagram and you might see it. But yeah, it's really, really good. Really loving it. It's a great pattern. It's really well written. I can highly recommend it. And I will be looking at more to hopefully do something else by Laura at some point, because she's very good designer, and her patterns are really well written. Hers is in these colours, which are also lovely. So that's my progress on my burnt sugar shawl, and I hopefully will be having that snuggled around my neck on my next time I podcast. Hopefully it'll be a really cold day. I'll be able to keep it on the whole time. So that's my whip that you've seen already, but my newest, it's not my newest cast on, but my next whip that you haven't seen yet is my Love Note sweater, which will eventually look like this, but different colours. And I am knitting this with some Holstgarn Noble yarn, which is 95% Geelong wool and 5% cashmere in the blue stone colourway. So this is stuff that my mum got me from someone who was destashing on Ravelry. And I have bought, to go with it, some Drops Kid Silk. This is in the sage colourway. Oh, it's not focusing. There we are. Still not brilliant. So they are not exactly the same colour, but together they are making the most amazing colour. And I did a swatch, which is here. I can't remember if I showed you this time or last time. I don't think I did. And I was really pleased with how it turned out, and actually it's exactly the right gauge. I know swatches are meant to be bigger, and I think I will do that properly from now on, thanks to my Ingalls disaster. But anyway, so I've made quite a lot of progress on this. It's going to be quite hard to show you because I've not got it on very long cable. So hang on, that's the back. Getting tangled. So this is, oh, it looks good on here. That's worked out well. So I've knit, as you can see, so you do the collar last, so you've got a provisional cast on. And I've done all of the yoke, as you can see. I've separated for the sleeves, and I've done this much. And I'm doing this, so there's different sizes you can do, and I'm going to do the longer one. So I've got to knit 8.5 inches, so I've done whatever that is so far. I do it in centimetres, so I don't know what it is in inches. I have got a measurer here. Let's see. I've done, 4 inches. Nearly halfway. That's exciting. So, yes, that's my Love Note sweater. And I'm really pleased with this. I don't know how much wear I'm going to get out of this because it's not the sort of thing I would normally buy, but I've chosen again to do a bigger size than slightly necessary, because I like that oversized sweater. So, well, yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I think I'm going to wear it a lot, but it's not the sort of thing I'd normally buy. I'm really pleased with it. The yarn's knitting really nicely together. I love that you get these slightly lighter shades. It doesn't give it a sparkly look, but it gives it a bit of life. And it's really interesting how it kind of got fluffier when I washed it. You can see there, and I think that's the so I've been told that the Holstgarn yarn has got a lot of spinning oil on, and of course when you wash that out and it fluffs up a bit. So that's why the swatch is fluffier than what I'm working on now. So I'm going to be interested to see how it washes up, and when it's blocked and things, how it looks. So that's my my second whip that I'm really pleased with, and I'm really enjoying knitting that. It's really nice to be doing some stocking stitch in front of the TV that I don't have to concentrate on. The burnt sugar shawl, it does require a bit of thought because you're doing that lace. I know the pattern now. I understand the pattern. Of course, once you understand the pattern and how it relates to the row you've just done, it obviously makes it a lot easier to do. But I can't follow a very complicated plot line while I'm knitting it because I need to pay a bit of attention. Once you're on the stocking stitch of a sweater, then it's nice and easy. Don't have to pay any attention. So I'm just going to pause this now, move on, and then restart it because of my issues with the video software. Okay, and I'm back. So my last whip is a very short one to show you. This one I cast on because I was a bit fed up of the, this is socks, and when I was a bit fed up of the juniper socks because they weren't doing what I wanted them to, I thought, well, I'm just going to cast these on. So this is something new I'm trying out. This is the zigzagular socks by Prairie Girl Designs, and I am trying to do these 2 at a time on 2 short circular needles. Just a new thing. Now this is the most complicated thing I've ever done, I think, to set up, and I have done some pretty complicated things in my life. It really made my head hurt. I haven't got very far with them because I've kind of paused them. I'm knitting them with some, this is by All for the Love of Yarn, and it's Luminosity fingering, and I don't know what the colourway is, but this base is discontinued now. This was a hand-me-down from my mum, and I split it into 2 balls so I could do it 2 at a time, and this is what it looks like so far. Not a lot. So I'm gonna get back to you on how well it's working out knitting on 2 short circulars. It is a bit complicated. I'm sure I'll get in the swing of it very soon. I did this because I thought that the 9-inch circulars were causing my hand to hurt, but it's not really now that I've seemed to have learned how to manage that pain. So if these don't work out, I'll go back to short circulars. The other thing I'm trying out is, so the blue socks, oh, I can't remember the name of them. I can't remember the name of them, but I've got them on, so I'll show you. These ones have, now, they're knit in superwash yarn, and I think that hasn't helped. They've got really baggy, but it doesn't matter, and it's not causing a problem, and they're staying on my feet, but they have got really baggy, and also they've started getting very bobbly, and I think they're going to wear through quite quickly. I have worn them a lot because they're so far my only pair of handmade socks. But I did wonder whether, so I knit them on slightly larger needles, I think 2.75, because in the past I've knit socks and they've been too tight. So I'm kind of working on experimenting with what size needles I need to work on for fingering weight socks. So these ones, so those were on 2.75mm needles, and these ones are 2.5. So if these work out and they turn out to be the right size, I'll wear them for a bit first. The right size needles, I shall get myself some 9-inch circulars in 2.5mm. And if they don't work out and I need to go smaller, I shall get myself some 9-inch circulars in 2.25mm, and I shall just knit more stitches. I think that'll be fine. So I'm just gonna keep playing with the sock needles that I'm using and the number of stitches and things until I get pairs of socks that are working for me and will work for a long time. So that's my fourth work in progress. Third work in progress, 4th if I include the juniper socks. See, I told you my brain was a bit overtaxed over the last week. I can't think about what I'm saying. So now I want to talk about what I'm going to cast on next, because my shawl, my burnt sugar shawl, will be finished soon. So I'm going to cast on next the Hildebeer shawl by Fibre Tales. So this shawl is a triangle shawl. You start here. This is you can't see it here, but they're little bobbles, I think, little mini popcorns is what she calls them. And then when you've done that, this is a applied border. And I've never done that before, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's, yeah, new technique for me. I'm looking forward to working on it. And it's a big shawl, it uses a lot of yarn. And for this I have got some John Arbor Knit by Numbers 4-ply. And this is colour number 74. And I've got 3 skeins of it. In this lovely sort of, I don't know what colour you'd call this. I'm not very good with colours, with calling colour names, describing them, but it's really, really lovely. Got elderberry colour. So I'm looking forward to casting that on. So that's going to be my next cast on, so hopefully I'll have some progress on that to show you next time. So now I want to move on to what will probably be the biggest section of this week's podcast, this episode, which is acquisitions. And that's because, well, firstly, I won some things. And secondly, Mum and I went to the Southern Wool Show 2 weeks ago. We had been looking forward to actually going to the Southern Wool Show. We went last year and it was really, really lovely. It's held in Newbury and at Newbury Racecourse, and it's small, but there's loads of great vendors there. It's not too busy, which is fantastic, but it's busy enough. We really, really enjoyed it last year. We went a bit on the spur of the moment and it was great. We were really looking forward to it this year. Of course, it didn't happen, but they did do an online wool show. And so we decided to do some buying, and we did do a little bit of buying from couple of other places that weren't actually vending there, but we thought, well, we just want to buy some yarn. It's the weekend for yarn buying. So first, let me show you my exciting winnings. I'm just going to pause the video because I've left some of it on the other sofa. Hold on. Okay, so I actually had a much longer break than I thought because I realised I had taken very few notes for what I want to do with my acquisitions. Anyway, so competition winnings first. Firstly, I won these from Malabrigo. I actually won 3 skeins. This is Malabrigo Rasta, which is a really chunky yarn. And as you can see, it's very, very lightly spun. I got to choose the colours. And I chose 2 colours very similar to this. This one is Costa and the other one I can't remember the name of. I've given it to one of my daughters to knit a hat with. And then this one is my favourite, which is Tundra. Really love these colours. So I'm quite excited about knitting myself some winter hats with these, but Mum had some Malabrigo Rasta and knit a hat with it, and it stretched really dramatically. So I shall knit whatever hat I make on much smaller needles than is suggested, unless it's a pattern designed specially for this that's been tested. Yeah, I'm really pleased with these winnings. They came in a package that had been opened by customs, had loads of border control stickers all over it, and they'd dug right deep into it. I guess maybe it looked like it could have been drugs. Very light drugs, I should imagine. Anyway, or maybe they saw that it said yarn on it and they're yarn lovers, so they opened it and had a squish. So if they did do that, I hope they enjoyed it, because I'm enjoying squishing it now. Yeah, so I'm really excited to have won those. So my next winnings, I don't normally win this much. I do enter a lot of competitions, but I don't normally win 2 things in one go. I sort of win something every now and then. This was a giveaway for a pattern by Casey Knits on Instagram, who is, she's Casey Her Leahy, and it's a really beautiful pattern called the Tideswell shawl, which I'll put a picture of here. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the yarn for this or not, but however, I also won the yarn to make it, which is a sports weight yarn by a company called Moondrake Co. And this also came from across the Atlantic, but wasn't opened by customs. And so the shawl is designed for, as you can see, for a sort of a fade set of 3 different colours, or 3 similar colours. So this is what I'm so pleased with this. I'm really excited to have won this. So this is it's 100% superwash merino 4-ply, and it's dyed really beautifully, really beautifully. So this is grass colourway. It's coming up a lot more, yeah, a bit more yellow than it is in real life. It's a bit greener. And then this one's olive. Look at the depth on that. You can see it. Sometimes I never know if you will or not on the camera, but I'm trying to get myself out of the zoom. Yeah, this is a lovely colour. And this is emerald. So the reason I think I'm not going to make the tide swirl shawl with this is because I knit another shawl a long time ago, and I would have been thinking I'd really like to make it again. And I think that these 3 skeins of yarn will be perfect for it. So this is my Acolyte shawl, which is a design by Lisa Much, and it's a very long asymmetrical crescent shape, thin crescent shape, so it's perfect for how I like to wear my shawls. And her original was in 3 shades of grey, and so that's what I did. I used Triskelion yarn, Gwyn base, and it's not very tightly spun yarn. Don't know if you can see from that. It's quite fluffy. It still smells a bit sheepy. Anyway, oh dear, I can't remember what the makeup of it is, but I'll put it on the screen. But the colours are lovely. I love this and I wear it a lot. But because it's a bit fluffy, I just wondered whether it might be nice knitting something on a different base. And so when I won these, I thought that's perfect. So I'm going to have a go. I think that this is going to be another Acolyte shawl. So that's an exciting acquisition. And then my next acquisition, oh my goodness, I don't know what to go to next. Firstly, I'll quickly show you my lovely little tension square gauge, pipo, which is from the Knitting Gift Shop, who were at Southern Wool Show. So I'm pleased to have that because I have got one of these. I don't know if you can see that because it's see-through. I saw this, I think, on the Fibre Tales podcast ages ago. And so I got one, and as you can, I don't know if you can see, let's put something against it. It's got different stitch sizes for the different gauges. So you can put it over your knitting, only in stocking stitch, and work out your gauge. But I'm not sure how accurate it is based on my gauge discrepancy with my Ingalls sweater. So what I thought is I might use both and compare them in the future. So that's why I got that, and it's really pretty, so I'm really pleased with that. So my next acquisition, and this is the one, I can tell my husband not to watch this. This is some yarn from, it's called the Riverside Knitting Wools, and I've bought yarn from this company before at Wonderwool, and it's not like most knitting stands that you go to at a knitting store. They just have huge bins of yarn, and it's not terribly expensive, and the yarn's in like 400-gram skeins, which takes a long time to ball up. So I thought that I would get something so I can make something for my husband. So I've got 2 of these. Oh, I'm about to be interrupted. I can hear someone coming down the stairs. Okay, so sorry, I got interrupted. This is 100% wool. I don't know what sort of wool. It just says 100% wool. It says it's DK weight, but it's quite thin. And it's natural with neps in. So I'm going to knit my husband a sweater or cardigan or something with this. I did one ball yesterday. Look at the size of this. It's the same size as my head while he was out. And I got very sore hand from holding. I can't get my hand around the the ball is so enormous. So I'm thinking that I am going to make with this the Dark and Stormy cardigan by Thea Coleman, which I'll put a picture of here. Now it's designed for worsted weight yarn, so I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to knit up a swatch and I'm going to wash it really, really well, because I have a feeling that this is finer because it's got spinning wool in, and that it might fluff up to a proper DK weight, because it does look a little bit more like fingering weight to me. Lots of people have knit the Dark and Stormy pattern with DK weight yarn, so if it is a true DK, it will be fine, I'm sure. If not, I'll have to rethink and do something else with it. But I'm quite excited about that, so that's going to be a secret surprise. If I don't get it done by Christmas, his birthday's in March, so I've got another couple of months to keep going with it. Then my next acquisition is some yarn from Cookston Crafts, who is a really, really lovely dyer, independent dyer in Scotland. And we did a video chat with her to choose the yarn, and I was trying to buy yarn for Dreaming in a Field of Wildflowers wrap, which I put here, which is by Lisa Hannes, one of my fave designers. And so we did a video chat with Claire, good name, of Cookston Crafts, and we came up with this. So I'm going to have this grey colour, which is called Ink Blot, for the neutral colour, and then for the fadey bit, I'm going to have these three colours. I'm so excited about these colours. Let me hold it with the neutral. Look at them, they're amazing. There's bits of each of them in each of the skeins. Oh, it's going to look amazing. I might put another little picture down below so that you can kind of see. Oh, it's going to look fantastic. I'm really, really excited about this. I think it's about 3 shawls down on my queue, so I'm going to have to be patient, or I could just make it jump the queue, because I love it. So that's that. Go buy from her. She's lovely. She's so helpful, and she's clearly very good at colours. So I sent her an email during the Southern Wool Show. She was a vendor there. And I said to her, this is the pattern I want to make. I don't really know what I want. I've got quite eclectic colour tastes. Can you just suggest some things? And she sent me an email back with a few suggestions. And some of these were the ones that I liked, but so then we did a video and we fiddled around with them a bit and we came up with that. So I'm really excited about that. And then my last, I think, acquisition was not a vendor at the Southern Wool Show, but I wanted to buy specifically from this. It's Rosie's Knitting Shed, who I mentioned in the podcast last week, and then she kindly mentioned me in her stories, and then I got like 5 million subscribers really quickly. But I do love her yarn, and she had a back to school sale, so I thought, right, I'm gonna have me a bit of that action. And so I ordered this. This is a Turtle's Journey, and it's on 75% BFL and 25% nylon, 4-ply fingering, and isn't it great? Isn't it fantastic? So, and I got a little stitch marker as well with it, and some 2 other stitch markers, but a turtle one, which is great. So Mum also ordered a skein from her as well. So I initially thought I would be making socks with this, but then I remembered that right at the beginning of lockdown, Mum and I did a little bit of shopping online, and I ordered a one-of-a-kind skein from the Knitting Shed. And this is this. And again, I ordered this for socks, but when A Turtle's Journey came, I remembered this and I thought, wow, they're going to go great together. And look, so this, I think, is going to be a shawl. And it's going to be, I think, the birch sap shawl by Sweater Freak. Now it's meant to be a 1-colour shawl, but Mum had been going to knit this shawl as well, and she had been going to knit one that was a 2-colour shawl, 2-colour version, and the one we're kind of inspired by is one by Cara Cool Kitty. I'll put a picture of it here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to knit the Birch Sap shawl by Sweater Freak with these two as a 2-colour thing, a la Cara Cool Kitty. And Mum has her skein of yarn from Rosie's Knitting Shed is similar. I think it was the Poppy Fairy, and it's similar colours. It's not quite the same, certainly different, but it is still greens and blues. And I had a skein of yarn left over from a shawl I knit, Mum, called by Giddy Aunt Yarns, and that's a dark green as well, but again different. So we've decided we're going to knit that as a knit along together. So happily she's got a lot of things in her queue first, because this again is a little way down in my queue. But so as soon as I'm ready to knit this, we're going to do it as a knit along. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think that's it. That was a lot. I don't know how long this is because it's all in lots of bits and pieces. But I think that's it. So yeah, please do comment below if you've got anything you want to say, if you want to tell me what you're knitting, tell me what you're thinking of what I'm working on. If you've come across some of the same issues I have with gauge or with different needle sizes for ribbing, come and follow me on Instagram, and tell me what you think about a Ravelry group as well. If there's people who think it's a good idea, then I'll go ahead and do it. If I don't get anything back, then I won't. I'll just leave it for the moment. But yeah, thank you so much for coming back. I hope you're all keeping safe and well, wearing your masks, sanitising your hands, keeping 2 meters from everybody. I'm a bit fed up of it now. I think we all are, aren't we? But let's just keep going. Hopefully a few more months and we'll be able to stop. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.